أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers of Jameel TV. Welcome. Now let us talk about the content of the surah in detail and would understand the real meanings and message of the Surah Humaza 104 from Holy Quran. Despicable character, verse 1 to 9. This surah portrays a real scene from the early days of the Islamic message. Yet the same scene is repeated in every environment and society. It shows a vile, mean person who is given wealth and who uses it to tyrannize others until he begins to feel himself almost unbearable. He thinks that wealth is the supreme value in life, before which all other values and standards come toppling down. He feels that since he possesses wealth, he controls other people's destiny without being accountable for his own deeds. He imagines that his money and his wealth is a god capable of everything without exception, even of resisting death, making him immortal and stopping God's judgment and his retribution. Deluded as he is by the power of wealth, he counts it and takes pleasure in counting it again and again. A wicked vanity is let loose within him, driving him to mock other people's positions and dignity, to taunt and slander them. He criticizes others verbally, mocks them with his gestures, either by imitating their movements and voices or by ridiculing their looks and features, by words and mimicry, by taunt and slander. It is a vile and debased picture of someone who devoid of human ideals and generosity and stripped of faith. Islam despises this type of person whose characteristics are diametrically opposed to its own high standards of morality. Islam emphatically forbids mockery and ridicule of other people as well as deliberate fault finding. But in this case, the Quran describes these actions as sordid and ugly, delivering a stern warning to anyone who indulges in them. This suggests that the surah is referring to an actual case of some unbelievers subjecting the Prophet ﷺ and the believers to their taunts and slander. The reply to these actions comes in the form of a strong prohibition and awesome warning. There are some reports which name specific individuals as being the slanderers meant here, but these are not authentic, so we will not discuss them, but instead content ourselves with general observations. The warning comes in the form of a picture of a hereafter portraying the mental and physical suffering there and drawing an image of hell which is both palpable and telling. It takes care to relate the crime to the punishment inflicted and to its effect on the culprit. On the one side, there is the image of the taunting, slandering backbiter who mocks and ridicules others while he gathers wealth, thinking that he is guaranteed immortality in this way. This image of a cynical culminator seeking power through wealth is contrasted with the slighted, ignored person flung into a crushing instrument which destroys all that comes in its way. It soon crushes his structure and his pride. The crushing instrument is God's own kindled fire. Verse 6. Its identification as the fire of God suggests that it is an exceptional, unfamiliar sort of fire full of terror. This fire rises over the person who mocks and ridicules others. To complete the image of the slighted, ignored, and crushed person, the fire closes in on him from all directions and locks him in. None can save him, and none asks about him. Inside, he is tied to a column, as animals are tied without respect. The tone of the vocabulary used in this surah is very strong. Keeps counting it again and again. By no means he will indeed be flung, rises, towering. By such expression, forcefulness is emphatically conveyed. He will indeed be flung into the crushing one. Would that you know what the crushing one is? It is God's own kindled fire. Verse 4 to 6. First comes the generalization and cryptic expression, then the exclamation suggesting great horror, and then the clear answer. All are forms of forceful expression. The style also conveys warning. Woe to he will be flung into the crushing one, God's kindled fire, which will rise over people's heart. It will close in upon them in towering columns. In all this, there is a kind of harmony between imagery and feeling and the actions of the taunting, slandering backbiter. At the time of its revelation, the Quran followed up the incidents faced by the Islamic message while also leading it along its way. The Quran is the infallible weapon which destroys the cunning of conspirators, shakes the hearts of enemies, and fills the believers with courage and determination to persevere. Indeed, we recognize two significant facts in God's care here as He denounces this sordid type of people. Firstly, we are shown the ugliness of moral decline and how people are rendered so abject. Secondly, we realize that He defends the believers, preserves their souls against their enemies. Insults shows them that God knows and hates what is inflicted on them, and that He will punish the wrongdoers. This is enough to elevate their souls and to make them feel their position high above the wicked designs of others. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the overview of Surah's commentary. May Allah bless us with the right understanding of the Surah's teaching and to implement them in our lives. Thanks.